This is Bill Borum, opening up the meeting of our university's collaborative group. And we're very happy to again gather to monitor and plan our progress on the collaboration and an eventual summit between American university presidents and Russian university rectors, which was brought to us by the Russian embassy in Washington, D.C., in behalf of our good colleagues, people who become our good colleagues and friends in Russia at this wonderful concept that they have been employing for almost the last 30 years. So with that, I will open up the meeting. And let me ask David Thomas to start off with a description of where we are, particularly in our data gathering. And let me make him the host so he can show us something here. Let's see here. Where are we? Make the host. David, give us an update. Well, there we go. Hold on. All right. David, you can give us an update on the information we're gathering from the US side in particular.
Okay, thank you, Bill. We're currently in the status where we are gathering information about university presidents who might be interested in participating in this joint effort with the Russian Rectors Union. Yesterday, Bill sent out a link to a Google Doc, which I will show you now. Let's see. There you go. Hopefully everybody can see that. But this is a list of the different universities that we have identified so far. Most of these have been suggested by members of this group or of the larger Russian Roundtable group. And we've collected information on the university's location, who provided the recommendation or who is interested in it, the email of the contact for that person. And we've got about 33 lined up right now. And if we scroll across here, we've got several who have indicated a little bit more than just passing interest and want more information or want to get involved in a greater way. So if I stop the share and, before we leave this, if you have any information of any universities that wish to participate, this link is available in the email Bill sent you about today's meeting. You can just start adding that information in here, and then I will keep a hard copy on my laptop. Just don't go in and change anybody else's, just add yours to it and provide as much information as you possibly can so we can continue to grow this list. If I stop sharing that one, let's see, and go to the next one. This top portion here shows the university presidents or vice presidents who have expressed a little bit more than just basic interest. They want more information, they want to get involved, and will probably participate in a May meeting that we will schedule between this group of individuals and Yuri from the Russian Rectors Union and some Russian rectors to get this whole thing started. So Bill, let me give you the share screen or the control back. Let's see, how do I do that? I got to go to you over here and make host. So Bill, you're host again. So where we're at in this process is we are getting ready to finalize a letter that we'll be able to send out to people who are interested. And then once we're able to do that, we're hoping to have a May meeting between interested presidents and vice presidents and Russian rectors. And then we're shooting for an early fall virtual conference, and then possibly an in-person conference sometime in the spring of 2022.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad you outlined those major milestones of having an initial meeting, and then the virtual sometime in the fall, and then the in-person meeting, which we will rely on our Russian friends to have us convene in Russia. So with these milestones, we've got some things to work on and aim for. And thanks very much, Dave, for getting that spreadsheet together. Now, when you say hard copy on your machine, you're actually talking an Excel spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, that is correct. And I'm doing that just in case somebody makes a mistake and erases everything on the Google Doc. I've got a hard copy of everything that people can't get access to. So we always have one in reserve just in case.
Right, right. Yeah, so I would encourage anyone on this call and anyone listening or viewing this, as I will send it out to the entire list of interested parties, which is about 60 people, almost all of whom are sister cities folks in our US network. So please put in there, well, I hate to use the term target, but as an old sales guy, we have a target list of universities that we can approach. And I think that a good point was made even a couple of months ago, that if you don't know the university president, again, speaking more to our US people, that if you do have the acquaintance with some other officer of a university, and ideally the vice president for international studies or global studies, that's an initial very good point of contact. If we can have them as our champion at the university, and then go to the university president. So that's kind of the process that we're going through. And as Dave has mentioned, the approach letter, which we have drafted, I'll send that out again, but it's available to anyone who wants some kind of a template to first reach a university president or anyone else at the university, including, an acquaintance, to easily explain what we're trying to do here. So that's the process. Also, I should say that anyone who has not received a direct invitation or notification from me, in other words, new to the meeting on referral, please put your name and contact information, your email, plus your affiliation, any particular group. If you want to be on the notification list, put that into the chat and I will pick that up. So just to maintain that. So I think we're starting to make some good progress here. One thing in the context of what Dave mentioned is we've been talking about the idea of having a working group of US university presidents who, by their names in a communication, have associated themselves with the project. And that could be convincing to others that we would approach. So I think that's probably going to be one of the points of our May meeting, to firm up that working group. Hopefully we'll have 20 or so, 15 or 20 names on the working group list of US university presidents. So that's how that's going. Again, thanks, Dave. Let me turn now to put Igor on the spot here. Not too much on the spot, but we were going to have Yuri share any comments he would have. So, Igor, if there's anything you want to say about anything else that you would like to see in our progress, any ways that we can help you to our eventual goal, any comments you'd like to make?
Well, thank you, Bill. We talked today with Yuri about the procedure, and one important thing is we just need to sign a memorandum of understanding between Rectors Union and your organization, just to begin to make next steps, as I understand. It's on the one hand. On the other, Dave talked about our steps concerning just first virtual meeting, which will be, I do not know if we are ready, we can do it in May or just in early autumn in the fall semester. And offline meeting of rectors in the spring of the next year.
Right, well, very good. Yes. Yeah, and we did have a meeting with Dave and I with Yuri earlier this week. So I'm glad that that content was further discussed on your end. First of all, on the MOU, that's still in progress. There, as I advised, actually I advised Yuri that, and I should have copied you, that there were some committees that we had to go through at Sister Cities International. And the second one, I hate to admit it, but they didn't have all the information they needed, so they deferred a decision. So we expect that the second committee to win their approval next month. And then at the same time, it will go on to the executive committee, which represents the board of directors. So we're looking ahead to confirmation of the MOU approval the end of next month. And we did discuss the idea of conducting a signing ceremony, which always is a nice festive event. But in this case, it will be a virtual signing ceremony, but we will do that. So wanted everyone to know the MOU is still in progress. We expect that to be approved the end of next month, and then have a signing ceremony early in the following month as convenient to the parties. So, and then on your second point there, appreciate your mention of these milestones. And so that's something for us to look to and work for. One thing I did want to bring up was at some point we need to develop, programs or a program for the virtual meeting in the fall. So if everyone would have their thinking caps on, so to speak, of what could be the content of a virtual meeting, which probably couldn't last more than an hour to an hour and a half, probably. A virtual meeting is about as long as people can handle Zooming. So when we next reconvene, let's start talking about that program for the virtual meeting in the fall, what that can look like, and that'll come up very quickly. So let's see. Any introductions to be made by anyone, or comments of anything that anyone's working on?
Well, if I can make one more comment, we were contacted by several members of sister cities in the United States and in Russia who were interested in getting Russian universities involved. And speaking with Yuri, the way to do that is to contact Yuri. He's got a list of all the universities involved in the Russian Rectors Union, and he will be able to link up the Russian universities with the US universities as we progress. If you take a look at the Google Doc, there are two tabs at the bottom. One is for the US universities and one is for the Russian universities that people have sent me information for. So if you are representing a Russian university, or if you have one associated with your sister city group and you want to make sure that gets communicated to Yuri, you could put it on the second tab, and I'll make sure Yuri gets that information because he's going to be the one that will be dealing with all the Russian universities.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. That's a point very well made. The US folks here, we're managing the US side, and Yuri and Igor, the Russian side. So we're very happy to have our Russian colleagues tune into this meeting and make suggestions and what have you, observations. But from the standpoint of managing the other side of it, that's strictly through Yuri and Igor. They're managing those universities, which will in effect represent the first group of endorsing rectors in Russia of this effort. Okay, let's see. Well, let me welcome Edward Lazansky for brief comments. He is a professor at two universities, American University and Moscow State University. He is lectured at both. So welcome, Edward. Any comments or observations?
Okay, thank you, Bill. Small clarification. I founded American University in Moscow, and I am full-time. And this happened 30 years ago when Soviet Union was still around, 1990, and we had a conference that you just mentioned about next year. We had it 30 years ago, actually more, 31 years, August 1990. And we brought about 200 American university presidents who came to Moscow, and they stayed on the campus of Moscow State University in this big tower, the dorm. And it was really a great time, high expectations. And we had, of course, similar group of Russian presidents, university presidents. And the organization that helped us was called Association of Russian Universities. And the head of this group was famous Russian cosmonaut, Viktor Savinych. And he at the same time president of one of the Russian universities in geodesy and cartography. And he was recently elected to be full member of the Russian Academy of Science. And Viktor probably would be a great person to add, and I will convey to him this meeting and idea, because this is something that happened 30 years ago. As I said, time of high expectations. We thought that from now on, Russia and still Soviet Union, by the way, Gorbachev expressed interest. He said, we no longer will promote communism. We want to be part of this civilization. We had a conference called Understanding the Values of Western Civilization. Anyway, there were good times. Unfortunately, now we are at a low point, especially what happened yesterday. I don't want even to talk about it because it was horrible. So maybe our role is somehow maybe to improve this climate, because this climate extremely not just poor, it's dangerous. And more people, just recently, a couple of months ago, about 100 American leading foreign experts mentioned that the way we go, we are sleepwalking into nuclear catastrophe. It's very sad. So I think our role as university people, so we have access also to young people, maybe to bring some positive agenda. And one of the things that I want to invite everyone is that there's a symbolic date, April 25. This is a date when the Soviet and American troops met in Germany, the city of Torgau, at the Elbe River, and there were also times of high expectations. There were really climate friendship, singing, drinking, of course, dancing, and everyone thought that from now on we will be allies. Didn't happen. But on April 25 every year, we have events in Russia and United States. Sometimes we link by through teleconference, and this is my university where I actually work full-time. It's a nuclear research, National Nuclear Research University in Moscow State. I just teach part-time, but full-time is at National Research Nuclear University. And we have teleconference between Washington and Moscow. And what we do, we plant a tree, friendship tree, between peoples of Russia and United States. One such tree is in downtown Moscow, is next to Arbat Street, which is really one of the most fashionable districts in Moscow. And we plan to do another event on April 25. And this time we invite all people in different states, in different Russian regions, also to plant this friendship tree. So university is a good thing, because you don't need any bureaucracy from the city hall to give you like space to plant a tree, because all universities have their own campus. They can plant a tree without talking to bureaucracy and getting some permits. So please join us. And since I have now your emails, if you don't mind, I will send information about this. And this can be really kind of our modest. Of course, I don't think that planting tree will help too much with what's going on between Washington and Moscow, but at least it will bring some positive agenda, maybe some ideas. And what you do, Bill, and all this group, I think it's very important because we have access to young people. During my course, actually, I'm by training physicist, but I teach course U.S.-Russia relations. And during this course, I also urge and encourage my students to come up with some ideas what can be done to avoid this horrible thing that American experts are actually many in Russia as well. So I don't want to speak too long, but I will send you follow-up with pictures, by the way, of this tree on Arbat Street in Washington, and hopefully you will join us on April 25.
Well, thanks very much, Edward. I think that's that date is an important one to memorialize. And as you say, it's a straightforward, simple, but I think effective commemoration of that event and a reminder of a better time. I will introduce you by email to Yuri and Igor so that they can be in touch with you, given your background and affiliations in Moscow. So that can be effective for them. So thanks very much for your comments. Anyone else with anything else to mention at this point?
Yeah, this is Gus. A few things, Bill.
Good.
First off, and maybe a question for Igor. I know that these types of forums have been convened in the past with the UK and maybe other countries. I wonder if there's any previous meeting agendas we could look at that might give some ideas on what could be included in the agenda for this meeting. And second question, are there, again, for the Russian representatives, are there discussions to hold this type of meeting this year with any other countries, or is the USA the only country that's being focused on right now?
I see. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Sure. We have agenda from our previous meetings, from our previous forums we did with rectors in different countries. And sure, we'll try to share with you and just today is Thursday. Let's say maybe at the beginning of the next week, we'll send it just to collaborate on a fall agenda, I mean, for the virtual meeting.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead,
I have a good friend named Leo Ravdowski who lives in Chicago. He's actually the retired chief engineer for the city of Chicago, but he was born in Moscow and he's lectured several times at Moscow State University. So if there's no objection, I'll invite him to join this group, and he might have some insights or some contacts that might be beneficial.
Sure.
Right, yeah, Gus, you can either send the email directly to me, I'll put them on the notification list, or if it's handy, put it in the chat. All right, very good. I think that was a couple of good points there, especially about getting the.
Bill, may I just one small extra point. My experience dealing with universities is bureaucracy, and you know, if you want to get to president or rector, it takes time. I think maybe we should concentrate at the beginning with just professors, because they have more freedom. They don't have to really. They can start communicating with Russian colleagues without going through this bureaucracy. The same thing, I think, on the Russian side. So maybe this is maybe we can expand, because if you try to get just university president, so many steps have to be taken, MOU, and then on and on and on. Maybe just we have to get like people to people or professors to professors. Maybe then we can expand this group.
Right. I think that's that's good advice, and I think we'll probably find that to be the case, and that it'll be at the summit type meetings that will have the participation of the presidents but the working groups would be some other folks. Let me also say that I'll do some recruiting for Dave. So if anyone wants to participate with his group, we've got a small group of people, steering committee, so to speak, that's preparing for these meetings and working on the milestones. Just put that into the chat and say, hi, Dave, I'd be happy to help your group. And that's a combined group. All right. Any other comments from anyone? All right. Well, very good. I'm not so sure whether we have to have another meeting exactly 4 weeks from today. We'll see how that goes. We don't want to have a meeting, just have a meeting. Let's see if we have some tasks that need to be performed and give a report. Certainly, if we do have this May meeting date, that'll be something we have to work at. So anything further from anyone? I'm preparing to close it off here. Anybody else? So
Don't forget about April 25.
right, that's an important date. Well, maybe we could actually, hey, that's an idea that just occurred to me. Maybe we ought to have an April meeting on that date with some historical perspectives shared from the US side and the Russian side. Hey, I think that's a great, bright idea. So let's have an April meeting to celebrate April 25. So we'll work on that date, whether it's actually that date or the week before. So Edward, hey, thanks for that inspiration.
Last year on April 25, we had a meeting with about maybe 150 professors from not just the United States and Russia, but from Germany, from England, from Italy, and even one from China. So I think this is something this date becomes more and more like important. I think.
Right.
We don't have too many good dates for US-Russia relations. So maybe this is one of the few.
Well, you don't realize it, but you've just volunteered for my committee to have to memorialize April 25. So that will be our April meeting to celebrate that with some historians from either side. We'll have a panel here on
Actually,
either side.
Sunday. I just want to warn, it's a Sunday, but it's...
Well, maybe we'll do it the Thursday before.
No, it's impossible. It has to be Sunday because it's a date. So,
Well, we'll talk about that offline.
okay.
Because if we have our meeting, it can be in advance of the date itself and people can plan their own memorial.
No. Okay.
Well, on that high note of optimism and planning, I think we'll, unless anyone else wants to wave and say they have a closing comment, we'll conclude the meeting. Thanks for the very good suggestions by all. And looking forward to putting together a memorial type of commemoration meeting in April. Thanks all very much. And if anyone still wants to get into the chat, enter a name. You've got a couple minutes to do so before I end the meeting, stop the recording. So on that note, I will conclude the